Join me now, Shahram Hadian. He also was born in Iran, like Annie, our last guest. His daddy was high-ranking in the Iranian military 6 weeks before the fall of the Shah. His daddy decided to get the family out. He lives here in Tennessee, great state of Tennessee like we do, and he joins us tonight for more coverage on this largest ever uprising against the Iranian regime. Very historic. We have gotten word tonight, Shahram, from President Trump this afternoon. This is what President Trump said from the White House. Listen, please.
So Iran's in big trouble. It looks to me that people are taking over certain cities that nobody thought were really possible just a few weeks ago. We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. So,
all right. So that's what he said this afternoon, early evening at the White House today. It was more this afternoon. And not very long after that was said, we have this tragic footage coming out. This is let me just set it up here. This is, I'm going to let it play a few times while I talk over it. You see the guy in the white shirt covered in blood. Apparently and reportedly, he has been shot by a regime sniper. And that is his white T-shirt filling quickly with blood. We have also, of course, shown footage earlier tonight of a man being shot in the face and drowning on his own blood and dying in the street. That would put it at what we have is 52 dead, 9 of those under the age of 18. So since the president made those remarks, apparently we now have another individual shot by a sniper from the regime. Okay, so I guess the next 24 hours are going to be very crucial. For 24 to 48 hours will be very crucial as to whether the regime will survive. We also reported earlier tonight that there is one of the guys tied back to the IRGC in Iraq who's bringing in a team into Iran. So I'm not for boots on the ground, but there it is. There's the footage. I'm not for boots on the ground, but I sure would like to see what Israel and America could do to help the Iranian people go to freedom. I know this is near and dear to your heart. What are your thoughts?
Well, let me first address the last point that you made about Israel. There is some chatter out there that we know from back in June, Brandon, that the IDF has a major infiltration inside Iran. Sorry, not the IDF, Mossad, and their intelligence, their operatives have a deep seated, infiltration inside Iran. That was evident by how devastating the attacks were back in June on the regime, particularly the IRGC and their command structure. I think that one of the things that has to happen is that what I heard was that they need to be able to, that there potentially are weapons available to the Iranian people. My question to the president would be, he keeps saying, if they kill people. Brandon, as you just said, they've already killed 52. Many are wounded. Many are blinded for life because the regime operatives are shooting people in the face with shotgun pellets. If you've seen some of the videos and the footage, people are being shot with shotguns where they have multiple wounds that are potential, could come back and kill them later. So where is the red line? That's my question. Mr. President, how many does the regime have to kill before you would intervene? And I agree with you. I don't want American troops on the ground. You talked to Andy earlier this week about the MEK, this supposed opposition group that now is being backed by Rudy Giuliani, the potential of Newt Gingrich. So how many? How many is enough? And on top of that, we have reports of no water, no electricity. Obviously, there's not going to be gas, food shortages, the internet blackouts. Where is the line in the sand? That's the question. Where is the line in the sand? It just feels to me like they keep waiting for some sort of a lifeline, some sort of a change in the mentality. This regime is going down. One way or another, the Iranian people have reached the end. I'm sure you've played the footage of those who are saying they can kill me because I've been dead 47 years.
Yep.
They can kill me. I'm already dead. I've been dead 47 years. And those of us who left Iran, we've been mourning for 47 years. And so where is the line in the sand, Mr. President? Where is the line for this administration? And could it be that they're trying to play the regime game rather than what the people on the street are shouting, which is Javid Shah? They want Pahlavi, Reza Pahlavi, to come back to Iran. I'll turn it back to you.
Here is a footage. I mean, this is just nonstop tonight. This is apparently some kind of municipality that's been set on fire. Look at that. That's a pretty good sized building. And this is, again, happening all across the country of Iran tonight. So this is way bigger than 2009. It's growing fast. If America is not going to step up, I'm not saying, again, boots on the ground, but if America is not going to step up and do something to help tip over this regime for the people to have freedom, I sure hope Israel is going to do something. It's in Israel's best interest to be done with this regime. I mean, if they're talking about preservation and the threat to them, Israel has every reason to go ahead. I mean, and again, can you imagine the movies that are to come out of this about how Mossad has been working on the ground? I was just talking to Annie a while ago. I don't know if you find it interesting as I do, as she does, that last night, the third season, episode 1 of the third season of Tehran dropped last night. Have you watched that series?
Just the first one.
I mean,
I have not watched the whole series. I just watched one, but yeah, I mean, you know that expression. What is that expression? Like drama becomes real life, or real life. I mean, yeah. I mean, this is a epic story, epic movie in the making.
And Mossad's already on the ground. They're already busy.
Correct.
So the question is, at what point is Mossad going to just go ahead and start taking care of what they need to take care of? I hope we're not sitting here waiting on America, I guess is what I'm saying. I hope we're not.
I hope the Iranian people are not as well. There's an article in the Jerusalem Post yesterday or day before where they were interviewing certain Iranians, and they were saying that they very much like Netanyahu, but they were saying we don't trust President Trump. I saw an interview with Netanyahu just about a day or two ago where he was telling the interviewer, the question was asked, did you directly stop in June of 2025 because of U.S. pressure? And he was very diplomatic, and he said, no, our objective was met. We didn't, maybe a couple of small things. I'm sorry, I don't actually believe that answer. I believe that I believe there was more to come. I believe that Operation Rising Lion back in June of 2025 was meant to basically decapitate the regime so that the Iranian people could rise up. And again, not for external regime change, but from within. So I agree with you. If the Iranian people are waiting on the United States, they're making a mistake. I don't know what Trump's red line is, because do they have to kill 100? Do they have to kill 500? Over 2,000+ are right now arrested. Typically in previous uprisings, those people typically disappear later. So you're not looking at a potential death toll of 52. You're looking at a potential death toll already of hundreds, because we don't know how many they've already secretly killed and or will die in prison. And to the point of Mossad, again, I would say they're already in country. And that was the article I was reading, was could Mossad train some of the this uprising? And I will say this, in my estimation, this is the largest uprising since the coup of 1979. Nothing compares to this. This is in every province of Iran, Brandon. This is in over 100+ cities now. This is the biggest since 1979. But this is a true revolution. That was not a revolution. That was a coup. This is a true revolution. And that's why we have to reject the administration backing a group like MEK, which is basically, I was saying on my show last night, MEK is like Zoran Mamdani. It's like us saying, let's pick Zoran Mamdani to lead Iran. That's who MEK is, this supposed opposition group that Rudy Giuliani was backing. So let the Iranian people speak. And oh, by the way, and you reported this the other day with Annie, because Reza Pahlavi said he's going to Mar-a-Lago on January 12th for this party or whatever.
Now,
right?
that was supposedly false news. Now we're hearing.
Right. So now I said Tuesday on my show this week, I said the one thing the United States ought to do, and you said it on your show this week as well, invite Reza Pahlavi into the Oval Office, public meeting, and do what they did with Maduro. We don't recognize Maduro anymore. It's an illegitimate government. This is a brutal dictator. Why are they not doing this with the Iranian regime? Why are they legitimizing the Iranian regime, this Islamic regime, when they should do the same thing? Now, they don't have to say, we anoint. I had Hedia on my show last night. She used the word anoint. They don't have to say, we anoint Reza Pahlavi. They just have to say, we don't recognize this regime. And oh, by the way, here's a meeting with the Crown Prince. How much would that speak? How much volume would that speak? But Brandon, you got to ask the question,
But we
why?
played the clip where President Trump was saying that would be appropriate right now. Remember that?
Yeah, he's saying it's not appropriate. Why? Why is it not appropriate? The only reason it's not appropriate is because you're still trying to legitimize this regime. The only reason it would not be appropriate is because you're still trying to give them some sort of a lifeline or make a deal.
And why do you think he's trying to do that? Because I think you just nailed it right there. He's trying to make a deal with them. Is that why? And he can be...
Well, that's part of it. That's part of it. Part of it is long-standing U.S. policy towards Iran, going back to the Carter administration, because how much is this administration in the United States going back to OPEC and their agreement with OPEC, and now the Saudis, the Qataris, the Emirates, the Bahrainis, the Kuwaitis, how much are they beholden to the tune of trillions of dollars to the Arab Muslim countries? And I've said this time and time again, Brandon, a free Iran is an Islamic free Iran. A free Iran is now the greatest ally of Israel, period. In my opinion, it'll be stronger than America. And a free Iran totally upends the Islamic hold on the Middle East. So I think that the pressure is there, that they cannot allow this to happen, whether America interferes or not, like they did back in June. And in my opinion, he interfered. In my opinion, he clearly interfered and betrayed the Iranian people in June. I'm talking about the president. In this case, the best thing is stay out of the way, but just set up the meeting. What do you mean it's not appropriate? Set up the meeting. This is who the people are chanting for. Mr. President, are you listening to who the people are chanting for? When they're popularizing songs that have the words, "This is the final battle, Pahlavi will return. This is the final battle, Pahlavi will return." And they're saying, Javid Shah, long live the Shah. Now, of course, my prayer for Iran is Javid Shah, which means long live the King of Kings, because we pray that the King of Kings will be lifted up over Iran, as Jeremiah 49 prophesies. But Brandon, I don't know what we're waiting for. I don't know what the Trump administration is waiting for. They're either completely missing the mark or they're buying time. And if they're buying time, that makes me upset. That makes me upset if they're buying time.
Look at this headline from back in 2024. Iranian woman punished with 74 lashes for refusing to wear hijab. I mean, this is just, again.
This is it. And this is probably one of the more benign things that this regime has done. When you look at just the destruction of the Iranian economy. I mean, Iran has 90 plus million people. Israel's economy is larger than Iran's economy, and they have 10 million people. Their economy is destroyed. Our currency is at a record. When I left Iran, Brandon, when my dad took our family out of Iran, the currency was $7 to $1. $7 to $1. It is now, when you look at the Toman, it's 140,000. The Rial is 1.47 million. It's not even worth toilet paper. They've destroyed the Iranian economy. They've milked the Iranian, and people have to remember, These Ayatollahs, Khamenei, and the Supreme Council, please remember, they're not Persians, they're Arabs. They learn Farsi. They're not even Iranians. And that's why they're bringing the militias. They've been doing this for decades, right? Or years. They control the eastern part of Iraq, and they bring their militias in. Every time there's an uprising, they bring their Arab Muslim militias in who hate the Iranian people. They hate the Iranians. That's why the Iranians don't like the Arabs. We don't like each other because we know that we were conquered by Islam. Persians are not Islam, and they are tired of it. They want their heritage back. They want their freedom back. And I said on my Facebook post last night, I dream of the day, Brandon, where I can go back to Iran and preach the gospel of Jesus Christ on the streets openly and worship and lift up the name of the Lord of Lords and King of Kings openly on the streets of Iran. I think that day is coming. I think it's just a matter of when. But history will tell. History will speak loudly to how President Trump handled this situation at this time when Iranians already, as you said, teenagers, children are being murdered by this regime. The red line, in my opinion, has already been crossed.
I agree wholeheartedly. This is being put out by Tommy Robinson, who we've already played a clip from him tonight. He says this is Tony Blair's sister-in-law.
Oh, Lord.
Watch this.
After October the 7th, this October the 7th, a legendary day in the Ummah's history. Yes, we can say that people are now picking up the Quran because of the steadfastness and sabr of the people of Gaza specifically to find the beauty in the Quran. How many millions will accept Islam because of this? Only Allah knows. We're at a tipping point in history. Don't be downhearted. Be steadfast. Be strong. Carry on the struggle however you can.
Wow.
Wow.
Are you familiar with her?
No, I'm not. If that is Tony Blair's sister or sister-in-law, I would not be shocked.
Sister-in-law is what I'm being told.
Sister-in-law. Brandon, how many times have you and I pontificated how many of these world leaders are secretly Muslim and just haven't come out and admitted it? They've already been converted. They're just not letting it known yet. And oh, by the way, does she know that in the wonderful, beautiful Quran that she declares? Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
January 8th, 2026,
Wow.
Tony Blair's sister-in-law sparks outrage
Man.
after describing October 7th as legendary.
Man, does she know what Islam teaches about women? Does she know that Islam teaches that the majority of hell is occupied by women because of the fact that their minds are deficient? Does she know that in Islam women are lower than cattle? Does she know that in Islam women can be beaten by their husbands if they are deemed as being disobedient? Does she know that they can be raped even in marriage because there's no refusal? Does she know these things about how Islam treats legendary? I mean, it's sickening. It is, to me, that's the poster child of a useful idiot.
Well, talk about these useful idiots. Tony Blair, former Prime Minister of Great Britain. Now we have Keir Starmer. On my Worldview report tonight, I talked about the DSA, this digital security group or act over there in the EU, European Union, that they're wanting companies like Meta and X to comply with, which could penalize them up to 6% of their global profits for putting out what they deem as disinformation, hate speech, etc. Keir Starmer, apparently, here's a clip of him talking about freedom of speech in X recently, last, I guess, day or so.
Disgraceful. It's disgusting. And it's not to be tolerated. X has got to get a grip of this. And Ofcom at full support to take action in relation to this. This is wrong. It's unlawful. We're not going to tolerate it. I've asked for all options to be on the table. It's disgusting. And X need to get their act together, and we will take action on this because it's simply not tolerable.
Okay, now he says that's unlawful. I want to say what I said on the radio today. Conservatives need to be very careful in how they are writing some of these articles about Minneapolis. They're saying that the guys up there, the folks up there, that what they're doing, coming against federal agents, is breaking down, law and creates chaos, which is all true. But too many of them are writing in such a way about, when these people come against the federal agents, when they come against the law, you got to be careful, because what you're doing is like in Keir Starmer saying, what acts in these groups are doing is unlawful. Well, according to who? It's unlawful to speak the truth about Islam. It's unlawful to speak the truth about the LGBTQ. So when we have conservative writers talking about these people in Minneapolis, how when they come against the federal agents and federal agencies and they're undermining law, we got to be very careful to say why it is what they're doing is wrong. Because these are legitimate, legal, constitutional, God-given rights of government. Romans 13, reward the righteous, punish the wicked, make a stable and just society. And the president, and he has the authority to send in ICE to deal with drug cartels, Latin drug gangs, others that are creating problems and crime and are here illegally, right? So
yes,
we have to say it's not that it's because it's the law. It's not because they're federal agents. It's because the law is just. The law is legitimate. The law is consistent with our form of government, a constitutional republic, which William Blackstone was asked, what's a constitutional republic? One of the leading scholars for the founding fathers. And he said, what the divine is ruled on, we don't rule against. Well, we know what the divine is ruled when it comes to the function and purpose of government, Romans 13. But notice how Keir Starmer says it's unlawful. According to who?
Right.
So now, again, can we be involved in civil disobedience? Yes. Can we disobey the government? Yes. To obey tyrants is to disobey God, one of our founders, I think, said. So conservatives need to, when they write these articles about these lawless people in the Twin Cities, need to say, why is it what they're doing is dangerous? It's not because they're coming against federal agents and the law. It's because they're coming against duty-bound constitutional law enforcement and laws. In other words, they are empowered by the law, being moral, legit. The law is not king. The king is the law, right?
Yes.
This is the reality we have to have in America, is that we are a nation of laws under God. And so I don't want to belabor the point other than to say I'm concerned when I see conservative writers writing this, because I think to myself, well, in a few years, when we are opposing federal law enforcement or laws, are you going to say the same thing? So you need to make it clear that these people in the Twin Cities, Portland, they're coming against what is legitimate, moral, constitutional law, biblical law, not Keir Starmer. When he says this is unlawful, well, that's according to his opinion. That's not according to God. The Bible says we must obey God rather than man, that we are not to be silenced. So when they say, don't speak the gospel in the public square, no, we must obey God rather than man. Are we being unlawful? Well, according to them, we are, but according to God, we're not. So are we talking about the laws of man or the laws of God? Right. And in our country, on our constitutional republic, we are not to disobey the laws of God. We're not to have laws that contradict the law of God. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. That's a great explanation. And to your point, this actually happened under COVID, because under COVID, many people accused us of opposing the law because we said you can't mandate to the conscience of somebody that is under God to wear a mask, take a shot, shut down their business, shut down their church, can't travel, how many people you can have in your house for Thanksgiving. So when we stood up against those things, many Christians called you, called me, many others, that we were being lawless, but we were not. We were actually applying the proper interpretation of Romans 13 in standing up for what is just and also what was mandated by Scripture. For example, do not forsake the assembly of the believers, even as you see the day approaching. Now, in this situation, it is our duty. The Bible says expose the works of darkness. The Bible says abhor what is evil. So if I see an evil ideology, if I see a dark ideology like Islam, and we speak out against it, and we speak out against murder, or if we see the lawlessness of the left, where they want to shut cities down, they want to commit fraud, they want to commit injustice, they want to allow illegals to be set on the streets like some of these judges, where now those illegals go out and they rape somebody, they murder somebody. These are issues of justice, not just civil law, but as you said, the higher law. You said, well said, the higher law. And by the way, Brandon, this is one of the reasons I argued about the fact that we also have to articulate, for example, I am dead set against the concept of anti-Semitism. But last year, when there was some talk of legislation, and I read that I think it was last year, I read the legislation. That legislation scared me because it was open-ended. It wasn't defining the fact that you have to separate what is speech. Like, I can't stand Nick Fuentes. I can't stand Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens. But do they have the right to say the vile things that come out of their mouth if it's just their ideology or what they think is right? That's their right. Or that's the way our Constitution operates. That's their right that God has given under our Constitution. Now, if they call for violence, like Candace Owens has done at time, in my opinion, where now Jews have to be rounded up, that's a whole different story. If you and I were to say, let's round up all the Muslims and kill them, that's wrong. That's morally wrong, let alone that it's wrong in our government. But if you and I are simply saying Islam is an evil ideology and we cannot allow it to take over, like what's happening in the UK with Keir Starmer. And by the way, let's not forget Tony Blair, before I forget that, let's not forget Tony Blair, whose sister-in-law you just played. He was one of the signers of the Common Word document. He was involved in the interfaith movement. And how many times did we say the interfaith movement will lead so-called Christians to Islam? Mm-hmm. Oh, Justin Peters. Hello, Justin. Are you paying attention, Justin, that Islam is not a threat to the church? This is what happens when you don't speak out and warn them about what Islam is. They get converted to Islam. By the way,
I noticed that he is so concerned about what the Catholics are up to. I saw a clip of him and Mike Gendron recently, and they're so concerned about the Catholics. And I don't have a problem with them wanting to discuss the Bible versus Catholicism. That's a legitimate debate.
Yeah.
But why is it these guys are always going after Catholicism, the Word of Faith, Benny Hinn, but they don't seem to have the guts to go after Islam, so many of them?
Well, that's the $64 million question. Is it that they're afraid? Is it that they're literally afraid of what's going to happen to them? Or is it that they're complicit in deciding that, as James White said, that, hey, when the rubber hits the road, when things get tough, when persecution comes, it's the Christians and the Muslims that we're going to hold hands together and we're going to help each other out. That's delusional thinking, James. So it's hard to know why like you said, they avoid Islam. They're deluded about Islam. They don't see Islam as a threat.
Or they're just quiet about it. Or they are quiet about it. They're so busy picking.
Which, by the way, how many of them, Brandon, have been speaking out about Iran?
That was my next question. Where is so many of the Christian conservative Bible pastors on this? I mean, right? And by the way, what we're talking about when it comes to laws, resisting evil, that's why what they're doing in Iran is acceptable. They are not.
Exactly.
Are they breaking the law in Iran? Yep, they're breaking the laws in Iran.
Yes.
But those are not God-given, God-ordained laws, right? Those are demonic, man-centered laws.
Yes.
Right? We are created by God. We are to be under the law of God. All man is to be under the moral law that is placed on our heart and our mind and our conscience. Romans says the moral law is written on our conscience. Romans says that their mouth will be shut on the day of judgment because the law written on their conscience clearly condemns them, right? They says in Romans 1, they suppress the truth and unrighteousness. They know the righteous judgments of God, but they suppress it in unrighteousness. Well, how do they know it? Because it's written on their heart and their mind, their conscience. Con means with, science means knowledge. They offend a holy and just God with knowledge. That's why everybody knows lying's wrong, murder's wrong, adultery's wrong. These are things that are universal in the heart of man. We know it, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So what's going on in Iran? Are they breaking the law? Yep. But they're allowed to do so because there is a law that is higher than man. And that's what we argued in the Nuremberg trials. When all of the Nazis said, hey, we were just following orders and we didn't break any laws, because go look at our laws. What laws did we break? That's right, because Hitler came in there and started changing the laws, right?
That's right.
And so the Nuremberg guys, many of the prosecutors from America said, excuse me, you cannot say you were just following orders. You cannot say that you didn't break any laws of Germany, because there is a law that is higher than man's. There's a law that is higher than Germany or any nation. It's the law of God, the moral law. And that's why what they're doing in Iran is completely acceptable. To disobey the government, to break the law, because Iran is, and what the regime is doing there is not lawful, God-ordained template of government. Has God allowed that government to come into power? Yes, he's allowed it. Doesn't mean he agrees with it. But they have every right to disobey in civil disobedience and in self-defense. Because at the end of the day, if someone breaks into your house and their blood is shed, there's no guilt on your hand. We have the right for self-defense, number one. Number two, capital punishment. Now, what is government? Government is simply individuals coming together collectively to defend individual rights. And that government over there is not defending individual rights.
Right.
So the people are the government, just like we hear our organic documents say we're a government of the people, by the people, for the people. You can apply this to Iran. And traditionally, I think it was the Shah's father that created a government, created as an example after our Constitution. So the people over there are now saying, we are not interested in this government because it does not protect us. It murders us. It rapes us. It imprisons us for freedom of speech, freedom of religion. And so we, the people, collectively are coming together, are desiring to form a government that is more in keeping with the moral law and the laws of nature and nature's God, freedom. So just because a government comes to power doesn't mean it's legit.
Right.
God maybe allowed it, but it doesn't mean that man doesn't have a right to resist it, because real God-ordained government with the template of Romans 13 is individuals coming together collectively to defend individual rights, not people coming together to deprive people of God-given rights.
Yeah, amen. Amen, 100%. 100% agree. And the only thing I would add in the situation in Iran is the fact that you have a government that thinks that they're acting on behalf of, quote, God, but yet we know that that is antithetical to the God of the Bible. It's Satan, exactly. So the Iranian people are disarmed. So they have no way of defending themselves. In fact, my 12-year-old was watching, I was watching a video on my laptop. He happened to walk by and saw, cars burning in Iran and buildings burning like you just played, and said, Dad, is that bad or good? And I said, in this situation, it is justified. It is good, because they are saying we resist this evil. And in resisting the evil, sometimes you have to burn what is evil down. I mean, this is the pattern in the Old Testament.
Well, it's war, right? And
it's war.
And a lot of rules change when you're at war. And this is a civil war. But it's more than that. This is a war that's not only being fought civilly, but I know for a fact Israel is involved. So this is actually a war between the people and their tyrannical government, but also another nation supporting those people. So you've actually got a civil war, but you also have a war that involves more than one country.
Yeah. Yeah, and the people literally are fighting for their lives.
Yeah, literally.
They're literally, because if they don't stand up now, they're either going to be killed by the regime or they're going to die from starvation, from sanitary conditions, from lack of water, lack of electricity. So when you're at that place where you're literally talking about you're fighting for your very life against that which is evil, it is justifiable to defend yourself. And that's a great example of why that is different than the lawlessness that we see in Minneapolis or New York or Portland, because they are not being deprived of anything. They have a right to peaceably protest. Look, those people in Minneapolis, right? They could have stood on that street where the shooting happened by the ICE agent, and they could have said whatever they wanted to say. Hey, ICE agents, we don't like you. Hey, you guys, what you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is evil. They could have protested civilly. Now, the moment you're blocking traffic, the moment you're stopping them and putting their lives at danger, well, now you're going to tick them off. And now when you potentially try to accelerate a multi-thousand-pound vehicle out of police car. Look, when I was in the academy, that is basic training. We were taught, without changing subjects too much, if somebody drives a vehicle towards you, that is lethal force. So that's why he was simply going to his training. And people go, well, that's not justified. Why didn't you shoot the tires? Why didn't you just jump out of the way? He doesn't know which way that car is going to go. And the car bumped him. And so he didn't shoot to kill. He shot to stop the threat because you have a vehicle coming at you. Could those people, Brandon, have peaceably protested, even though we disagree with their protests and disagree with what they're saying? Yes, that would have been the right. But the moment you try to stop law enforcement coming in that is dealing with illegals that are criminals, illegals that are gang members, illegals that have raped women and children,
sex trafficking,
sex traffickers, child sex traffickers, and the billions of dollars of fraud that is defrauding the people of Minnesota, that is defrauding the federal government and stealing money, which that is going to fund, only the Lord knows what evil organizations and politicians. So you're right. Their duty is not just because it's in federal law. Their duty is because what they're doing is moral in stopping the evil in our nation.
Yep.
And
in fact, Shahram, I have a video actually that's come out now. Body camera footage from the man who is the ICE agent that did the shooting. Watch just from his perspective.
Here we go.
Change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Wow, he got hit right there. You saw that. You hear the shots.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Get out of the car.
Yeah, wow.
And did you see him, Brandon? Did you see the wife? The one who was videotaping was the wife. Because I don't know if you saw the video later where she was all, in a mess. She's like, it was my fault. I made her come. They were standing there, if you watch the previous video, for 4 or 5 minutes blocking these ICE vehicles from coming through. So she was using her vehicle in the street to block them. That's why they came up and said, get out of the car. Meanwhile, the wife came up and said, you want some of me, big boy? Now, can I ask you a question? Is that not a threat by this lesbian? Is that not a threat? Could that not be construed as a threat where you're threatening now a federal agent, you're threatening a law enforcement officer with, hey, come on, let's go. Let's do it. And even then, he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything until that car came at him. So, you want to talk about, again, they would have been just fine standing on the corner, standing on the sidewalk with their phones, saying whatever they wanted to say. You and I would have supported their right
to free speech and protest.
Free speech and protest peaceably. The moment you're going to block traffic, you're going to block federal agents, and you're putting yourself now in that place of threatening officers, threatening law enforcement. Now you've elevated the tension, you've elevated the threat. And then on top of that, drive your car at an agent that, as you said, he got bumped. That's a great video. I had not seen that video of his body cam. He got bumped. That means that car struck him. That's
and
now
I think
lethal
that
force.
ICE agent, I don't know if somebody can help me out in the control room. Yep. I think this is it. This is this ICE agent. Okay, so why was he a little, responding like
Ramped
that?
up a little bit? Yeah.
Well, you know what had happened to him 6 months earlier?
No.
He got dragged 300 feet while executing an arrest warrant.
No way.
Here it is.
More charges.
This home security video shows the driver taking off during a traffic stop, dragging a deportation officer with him. New at 10, WCCO's Uba Ali walks us through this video and the political firestorm behind it.
What began as a planned federal immigration arrest took a violent turn in this quiet Bloomington neighborhood. And it was all caught on camera. According to a federal complaint, agents were executing a warrant for 39-year-old Roberto Carlos Munoz. They say Munoz entered the country unlawfully, and he also pled guilty to fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct back in 2023 for abusing a minor. Tuesday morning, agents pulled him over. Court documents say he repeatedly refused to comply before a federal agent took out his spring-loaded window punch with his right hand and broke the driver's side rear window. These images show the officer's hand in the vehicle. In this video, you can see the driver take off with the agent hanging from the car, dragging him 300 feet through front yards. These graphic images show the aftermath. A bloody agent who needed 33 stitches for his significant cuts. And now a political battle with a top Homeland Security official criticizing Governor Tim Walz, posting on X, instead of comparing ICE law enforcement to the Gestapo, Walz should be thanking our brave law enforcement. The Department of Justice says a request for Munoz to be held after that 2022 arrest was, quote, not honored by local authorities, and Munoz was released.
Okay, so what's being reported is that was that officer.
Well, I'm Brandon.
So if that is true, and I don't know if you guys can help me research that a little more in the control room, but there are reports out there that is that same officer. Now, again, I cannot validate that, and I'm trying to do as quickly as I can live on the air here. Are you guys looking in there? But that's what's going around. I'm trying to validate.
While they're looking, can I just mention something from a law enforcement perspective?
Yes.
As a former police officer, even if that's not the same agent, but that happened to their agency, you know there's going to be briefings on that. What's going to happen is they're going to be talking.
The New York Post has it. Can you show it? So the New York Post is backing this up too. Sorry, we'll get right back to it. Here we go.
No, that's okay.
Here we go.
Renee Good's SUV during a... I'm going to begin with the ICE agent who fired into activist Renee Good's SUV during a confrontation with enforcement officers. This was not his first vehicular incident during the performance of his duties. The same agent was once dragged 100 yards by a car being driven by an illegal migrant after his arm became trapped during a traffic stop. On June 17th, ICE agents stopped Roberto Carlos Munoz, a Guatemalan national with a rap sheet that includes domestic assault and sex crimes against an underage teen. Munoz refused to exit his vehicle. Now, this same officer, in an attempt to open the door from the inside, broke a window, at which point the suspect sped away while the agent's arm was stuck between the seat and the car frame. Now, the Justice Department says Munoz weaved back and forth, dragging the agent in order to shake him loose from the car. Now, he suffered injuries to his arm and hand that required 33 stitches. In response to growing protests in Minneapolis over this week's shooting, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has activated the state's National Guard.
All right. So sounds like, again, a legitimate story.
Yeah.
No wonder that guy wasn't going to fool around this time, right?
No. But again, looking like it's the same guy. But again, even if it wasn't, that's their agency. What's going to happen in that agency is there's an after-incident report. That after-incident report is going to be discussed by every shift that goes out. They're going to talk about, hey, guys, these suspects, these agitators, these, they're not protesters, they're really agitators. They are now using their vehicles against us. And as a reminder, a use of a vehicle against a police officer is deadly force. It's no different than if a knife was against you or if a gun was against you. That vehicle can incapacitate you, can knock you out, can run you over, can break your leg, can break your arm. They can come get your gun.
Crush your skull? Crush your skull?
Crush your skull. If you get knocked out, they can get out of the car, get your gun, and then shoot you and kill you. It is no different than any lethal force. So even if it's not, and if it is, I mean, boy, does that change the whole story. And that's great reporting by you guys to find that. But even if it wasn't, that's going to be discussed by the agency, and they're going to remind their officers, that's a use of deadly force. You're totally justified. We got your back. Not that anybody wants to do that, but when somebody is that foolish to not only agitate, instigate, block, mock, threaten potentially ICE agents, federal agents, and then drive a vehicle towards them, has she simply stopped and not taken off, she would not be dead, and they would not be calling in the, quote, National Guard. Do you think, Brandon, that Trump is going to enact the Insurrection Act if Waltz activates the National Guard?
That's a really good question, and it depends on who's speaking into his ear, which, leave that up there. That's great. This is this afternoon. It's kind of shocking. Watch who appears to be in the room. Watch this. Oh, my.
Oh, my gosh. What the heck?
Exactly. Hello? Why is that moron in the room?
Oh, my gosh.
What he was just, we're being told he was playing last night on Iranian television. Did you know that?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I actually
and the things that he has said about Trump, why is he there?
Yeah. Well, I think the reason he is there, because I think we've underestimated the Nick Fuentes groypers that have infiltrated the right, the political right, even this administration.
And by the way, just to defend Trump, my guess Trump's going, Tucker's here. Oh. You know, right? Because he walked into Mar-a-Lago the other night and he was shocked when he saw the guy that has the pancakes and everything, Logan. Terrence. He was shocked when he saw Terrence. Like, oh, hey, wait a minute. Terrence is here. I mean, Mar-a-Lago, that's his building. I don't think he knew Terrence was going to be there until he saw Terrence. So to make sure we have context here, Trump may have nothing to do with this, like you're saying.
True.
This could be somebody in his administration.
But there's a level. I think there's a level of infiltration. This was an interesting article that I had read. I can't remember where I read it. It's probably about a month ago now. But they were talking about that there is an underestimating of potentially, about a third of the DC elite that are on the quote right, that are now the Nick Fuentes disciples, that kind of groypers where they're deeply anti-Semitic, Jew hatred, and now lovers of Islam. And how many times have you and I said, when one goes, the other goes. You turn on Israel, you get Israel wrong, you get the Jewish people wrong. All of a sudden, Islam is wonderful and beautiful. So where is Tucker Carlson on the Iranian Voice right now? Where is he? No, the Arab Muslims are playing his clips against, about Maduro and about nothing, silence.
And J.D. Vance seems to be continuing to defend my friend Tucker. I'm sorry. If we end up with J.D. Vance as president, that's not a good thing. That's my opinion.
I agree. And so
I'll take Marco Rubio over that any day.
Any day right now. Really,
and I've had my questions with Rubio over the years. But,
right, sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Anything else we got as we get ready to wrap? Any more footage coming out of Iran, Logan, before we get ready to wrap? Let's see. What's the latest I got real quick here?
I would say this one thing, Brandon. Keep an eye. Yeah, go ahead.
They're continuing. Well, that's the same one, but I thought I just saw footage of more sniper shots, Logan. I just misplaced the video, but I thought I had seen more video while Shahram was talking of that. So I don't know what the death toll is going to be by tomorrow morning. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and let's not forget that this is the second day of the call of Reza Pahlavi for the people to chant. So it was this morning that was, because right now it's, I don't know, middle of the night in Iran, right?
Well, look at this. Here it is. And I guess at this point, the odds would be that that's the regime, not the people. Some of the people have gotten weapons, but it'd be a very small percentage. So the percentage odds are that that's the regime shooting at the people, not the people shooting at the regime. But we'll watch and see what happens.
The regime or the militias, right? I mean, the militias are like paid mercenaries, right? So they have no morals. They have no connection to the Iranian people. They have no qualms about shooting indiscriminately or snipering, taking people off. So again, I go back to how we started our segment. Go ahead if you want to play this.
It looks like he shoot a shotgun. One of them.
That was a shotgun there. I was just going to say, we go back to how we started tonight, and that is, Mr. President, what's the number? They're shooting people right there. You played multiple clips there where they're shooting people on the streets, people that are unarmed, people that, maybe throwing rocks or whatever they have, but it's not a fair fight. Where's the line, Mr. President?
In fact, he just said it more clearly. I'm seeing a new clip, more specific. President Trump, I think now drawing this line in the sand that we were asking for a while ago. Here it is.
Tell the Iranian leaders, you better not start shooting because we'll start shooting too.
Whoa.
Tell the Iranian leaders, you better not start shooting because we'll start shooting too.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Okay. But so where? Like, so what is that going to look like, though? Does that mean boots on the ground?
Well, he said no boots on the ground, but he said we're going to hit you hard. We're going to hit you hard where it really hurts.
So are they? You think they're working through Israel? Are they working through Mossad assets? Are they?
Here's another clip.
Are they talking about air, drone?
Yep. Here we go. Here's another clip.
Iran's in big trouble.
That's the one we played a while ago. Play it again.
People are taking over certain cities that nobody thought were really possible just a few weeks ago. We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts.
Okay, and then we add that to the one we just saw, which is new. If you start shooting, we will start shooting.
Yeah. So, again, I would argue, Mr. President, it's there. Look at the videos. As you said, the death toll that is recorded at 52, it's already underway. And right now, let's not forget, Brandon, there is still a blackout. As we are right now on air, there is a blackout. So we don't know the full extent of what is happening after the 2 days that Reza Pahlavi called for the people at 8 p.m. Iran time to come into the streets or in their houses or wherever and simply chant, and maybe desperation. This is all communicating desperation because, and I would say what we have to keep an eye on is to see if regime members begin to leave Iran. Like back in June, that was the one thing that I was keeping my eye on, is typically when they start fleeing, that's when you know they've packed up. So we need to keep an eye. And I don't mean just Khamenei. I mean, if you look at key leaders who, we got report that they've asked potentially for visas from France, from Germany, from Russia. That's what I'm watching for. But Mr. President, you need to act now in the sense of whatever you think you're going to do to support the Iranian people. Now's the time. They're already dying. They're dying as we speak.
All right. If we have to break in over the weekend, folks, we're definitely going to do it. TILministry.com, TILministry.com. We also carry Shahram's broadcast right here on the platform. Iranian, of course, American, but from Iran, Christian pastor Shahram Hadian, TILministry.com. Great commentary tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, my friend. Lord bless you guys. Great to be on with you. You too, my friend. You too. And God bless the Iranian freedom fighters, the anti-regime folks in the streets. Pray for their protection and a fall to that demonic, satanic Islamic regime for sure. All right, that's our broadcast for tonight. You appreciate what we're doing here on a Friday night. And of course, I'll be spending a big chunk of tomorrow and Sunday studying, as I've already have been during the Christmas break and early this morning, for the book of Daniel on Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern Standard. The book of Daniel. I'm going to go through it verse by verse. It's such a timely book on how to deal with living in a pagan culture, Christian persecution, limiting of liberty and freedoms, being told not to pray, Daniel in the lion's den, bow down and worship an idol, an image, walking through the fire, God being with him, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, how to trust on God's provision and his protection and providence. So much we can learn from this book of Daniel. It's a foundation for the book of Revelation. You're going to love it. And of course, Daniel committed in his heart. That's also would mean mind. The word heart and mind are interchangeable over 800 times in the Bible. He committed and decided in his heart and his mind to be faithful to the Lord at the very beginning. We'll study that as we go through the book of Revelation, the book of Daniel, which is the foundation for Revelation. So join me Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern Standard. Brought to you again by our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com. Roll the music. Let's call it a night. Worldviewfoundation.com. Worldviewfoundation.com. By the way, we're happy to welcome a brand new sponsor. It is melissahouseclean.com. That's the URL. It's Norwex. Again, this is a company. My wife's been using some of their products. She's very excited to have them on as a sponsor. We've gotten 2 or 3 emails from some of you saying you're glad they're a sponsor as well. Now, look, we don't get paid unless you buy products from them. So go buy some great, clean, fresh products without all the harsh, dangerous chemicals at melissahouseclean.com. May God save America. Take care.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.